The French Revolution, also known as the French Revolution, took place between 1789 and 1799. It marked a significant turning point in European and world history by overthrowing the absolute monarchy in France, establishing a republic, and compelling the Catholic Church to undergo substantial reforms. The French people underwent a profound transformation compared to the previous era. The awareness of the people increased, breaking away from the control of the palace, the king, and the elite. Many bourgeois living in cities were undergoing a major breakthrough. Books became more widespread. Families were sending their children to universities to establish a secure future and elevate the cultural level. Newspapers, manifestos, and pamphlets published by independent publishers contributed to mass awareness. These conditions led to the maturation of demands for social change. Landowners and nobility are attempting to preserve their privileges, hence raising barriers to prevent the bourgeoisie from ascending to the noble class. While the nobility is eager to maintain their status, the bourgeoisie, despite their economic empowerment, lament their lack of influence in social rights. The rural population, on the other hand, desires a reduction in the burden of taxes imposed upon them. Revolutionary thought has started to spread among layers of society who believe that the country needs radical structural changes. The central authority has failed to grasp the evolutionary process within the country and has chosen to address issues through outdated methods. However, especially the bourgeoisie, influenced by the English Revolution, aspires not to settle for temporary solutions but to participate in governance on a mass scale under a parliamentary monarchy regime, similar to the English model. The intellectual reasons for the revolution. Society was undergoing rapid change, largely influenced by the Enlightenment philosophers. The Enlightenment philosophy believed in the elimination of absolute tendencies of logic, deep-rooted traditions, and the political regime. Enlighteners advocated for the idea that freedom should prevail in all areas. In the 17th century, Descartes emphasized the superiority of reason and critical thinking, while Montesquieu proposed the use of legislative power through representatives representing the people and the implementation of the principle of separation of powers. According to Voltaire, the king should aim to enlighten society by adhering to an organization of advisors consisting of philosophers, adopting the English model, and opening the doors to a parliamentary system. Rousseau believed in the innate equality of individuals and emphasized that the will of the majority, popular sovereignty, should dominate the political regime. Diderot and d'Alembert articulated demands such as equality before the law, freedom of thought, and freedom of expression. In addition to the influence of Enlightenment philosophers, texts like the English Declaration of Rights and the ideas of John Locke forming the basis for documents like the American Declaration of Independence, with its democratic principles and liberal economic ideas, stirred the bourgeoisie. The French, internalizing ideas and movements from abroad, laid the groundwork for the revolution. The economic reasons for the revolution. The years leading up to the revolution were not considered prosperous for the French economy. Growing trade had slowed down due to wars, causing significant challenges for peasants who couldn't achieve the expected yield from their crops. Additionally, facing issues ranging from famine to single crop failures, peasants resorted to migrating to continental cities as the only solution. However, even in the cities, they did not find a bright prospect. The cities were unable to meet the needs of the increasing population. The population growth led to an increase in the number of people that needed to be fed. The newcomers faced the problem of unemployment, as they couldn't find employment opportunities, leading to a rise in social issues. While France's economy was considered advanced compared to many contemporary states, a noticeable decline compared to previous periods caused panic among the people. The economic troubles faced by the population resulted in irregular payment of taxes, disrupting the state's primary source of income and pushing the treasury into a severe crisis. The prolonged war costs, exacerbated by technological advancements increasing the expenses of warfare, and the extravagance of palace expenditures brought the state to the brink of bankruptcy. Consequently, the king opted to increase taxes and introduce new ones. Within this plan, the idea of widespread taxation across society emerged. The Paris Parlement opposed this new tax and, by withholding approval, called for the convening of the Estates General, or États Généraux, a move that played a significant role in triggering the revolution. In 1763, through the Treaty of Paris signed at the end of the 7 Years' War, France ceded all its colonies in North America to England. When England attempted to impose new taxes on the colonies to cover the financial burden of the 7 Years' War, unrest began to brew in the North American colonies. The American War of Independence, initiated by the 13 colonies in 1774, continued with the Declaration of Independence in 1776. France indirectly participated in these conflicts by providing substantial financial support. These war expenditures, coupled with increasing palace expenses, led to the financial exhaustion of the French monarchy. In 1789, King Louis XVI, facing financial difficulties, convened the Estates General when the nobility demanded taxation based on land ownership. The General Assembly, which had not convened since 1614, consisted of 3 chambers representing the nobility, clergy, and representatives elected by the common people. The convening of the assembly brought to light the contradictions in the social structure. Serious issues arose in the assembly between the privileged status of the nobility and clergy on one side and the bourgeoisie and representatives of the common people on the other. Since the early 18th century, the significant growth of France's foreign trade had led to the formation of the bourgeoisie class. This class now sought political power commensurate with their economic influence. They advocated for the removal of socio-economic limitations that were inevitable consequences of the feudal structure and monarchy. On June 17, 1789, representatives of the Third Estate, led by Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, gathered and established a constituent assembly. They sent messages to the other classes, inviting them to join, and declared their intention to participate in the country's governance, with or without them. To prevent these events, Louis XVI ordered the closure of the Salle des États, where the assembly met. In response, the assembly began gathering on the tennis courts adjacent to the Versailles Palace and took the tennis court oath on June 20th, pledging not to disband until a new order was established in France. The majority of the clergy soon joined them. With the convening of the assembly, the middle class, particularly the affluent classes, declared war against the monarchy. They demanded the limitation of the monarchy's powers through a constitution, the removal of internal trade barriers to liberalize domestic trade, the reorganization of taxes, and obtaining more rights in governance. Louis XVII did not accept these demands. On July 14, 1789, the middle class, joined by other elements of the population, attacked the Bastille prison. The prison was seized, and the prisoners were released. The French Revolution continued through 5 different periods from 1789 to 1815. After King Louis XVI was stripped of his duties and his family was arrested, a significant portion of the French people believed that royalists would revolt. Radicals demanded the killing of such conspirators. On September 2, 1792, an armed group of Parisians attacked a convoy transferring prisoners from one prison to another, killing the inmates. Subsequently, in places like Paris, Lyon, Versailles, Orléans, large crowds stormed prisons and exterminated the prisoners. Between 1793 and 1794, during the Jacobin revolutionary dictatorship, approximately 18,000 to 40,000 people were executed by the guillotine. The Republic administration established national unity and neutralized external threats. On January 24, 1793, King Louis XVI was executed due to forming an alliance with foreign powers. On October 16, 1793, Queen Marie Antoinette was executed on charges of treason.